All right, everyone, let's dive into Carpe Diem.
Whenever I hear that phrase, I instantly think of, those cheesy motivational posters. The ones you'd see hanging in, a middle school hallway?
Oh, totally. Or like the break room of like a super enthusiastic dentist's office. Yeah.
Exactly. It just feels kind of oversimplified, just grab the day and everything will be amazing, you know?
Yeah, it makes you roll your eyes, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
life's way more complicated than that.
Right. But there's got to be something more to this Carpe Diem thing. I mean, seizing the day. That sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, there's definitely more to it.
So today, we're going to dig into 5 different ways to think about Carpe Diem. And hopefully, we can find a way to make it actually work in our own lives.
Totally. Each interpretation is like looking through a different lens, focusing on a different part of the idea.
Okay, I like that.
We can get a clearer picture of what it really means, and then we can figure out how to use it in our own lives. Awesome. All right, so let's kick things off with one you've probably heard before. Live this day as if it were your last. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, the classic YOLO, right?
But hold on. Before we all go crazy and empty our bank accounts and book flights to Fiji,
Yeah, let's not go too crazy.
let's try to add a little nuance here.
Definitely.
I mean, if everyone actually lived every day like it was their last.
it would be total chaos.
Right. Total chaos. Less seizing the day and more like unleashing pandemonium.
For sure. But there's still something important here.
Yeah.
It's about remembering that we don't have unlimited time.
Right.
Maybe we should focus on enjoying life more. Sprinkle in a bit of fun and spontaneity amongst all the responsibilities.
I mean, who wants to be on their deathbed regretting all the things they didn't do because they were too busy with work or whatever?
Hey, buddy, that's why we need to prioritize pleasure sometimes.
Okay, so maybe not like every little thing,
Right.
but those things we've been putting off because we're too busy?
Yeah, like that delicious dessert you've been eyeing, or that weekend road trip you've been dreaming of.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Those little bursts of fun can really add some excitement to our routine.
So maybe a more realistic takeaway is not live every day like it's your last, but schedule 15 minutes each day to do something purely for fun.
I love that.
Find those little moments of joy, even if it's just reading a chapter of a book, listening to your favorite song, or calling a friend you haven't talked to in a while.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's live like it's your last day. Let's zoom out a bit and think about. Live this year as if it were your last.
Okay, so now we're not just thinking about today, it's about the bigger picture. What really matters to us.
Instead of impulsive things, we're talking about like a more long-term strategy for our time.
Exactly. It's realizing that the perfect time to do things might never come.
Yeah.
If you knew you only had a year left,
Oh, wow.
wouldn't you finally start that project you've been putting off or learn that new skill?
I used to be the queen of procrastination, always waiting for the right time to do things. But then I realized,
The right time is now.
yeah, pretty much.
It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago,
Right.
but the second best time is today.
And I bet this year perspective also makes you appreciate things more too.
Oh, definitely. If you only had a year left, you'd savor every sunset, every good conversation, every simple pleasure.
Yeah. Like it all suddenly becomes more precious because you realize it might not always be there.
It makes you grateful for what you have instead of focusing on what you don't have.
That's a great shift in thinking. Okay, so we've talked about our last day and our last year. Now, get ready for this because we're flipping the script entirely. Live this day as if it were your first.
Ooh, I like this one. Imagine experiencing everything with brand new eyes, like a child.
Right, but how do we actually do that? It's not like we can just wipe our memories and become toddlers again.
Of course not. But think about a time when you experienced something totally new and exciting. Okay.
Maybe it was getting your first smartphone, or traveling to a new country, or falling in love. Remember how everything felt so amazing and full of possibility?
Yeah, like the world was suddenly magical.
Exactly, and that's the feeling we want to recapture.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's about noticing the small details, the beauty around us, and approaching everything with curiosity, like a child.
So instead of scrolling through social media on my commute, I should be looking out the window and appreciating the buildings and the people.
Exactly. Or when you're having your morning coffee, really pay attention to the taste, the warmth of the mug, the sounds around you. It's about being present in the moment.
Okay, yeah. I remember this one time when I was walking through a park.
And you notice something you'd never seen before.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how shifting your perspective can make things feel totally new.
It's like seeing the world for the first time again.
Okay, you ready for number 4? This one comes from Viktor Frankl, and well, it's a little mind-bending. Live this day as if you were living it for the second time. Okay, this is a good one. Imagine going through the day once, making all your choices and experiencing everything. And then you get to rewind and do it all over again.
Like hitting Sectral plus Z on life.
Yeah. But this time, you have the wisdom from your first run-through.
Ooh, interesting. So you could avoid those awkward moments.
Exactly. And you'd know what opportunities to seize. But it also makes you wonder.
Yeah.
What would I do differently? Would I make different choices knowing what I know now?
I guess, yeah. But wouldn't all that second guessing get kind of overwhelming?
That's a good point. It's not about obsessing over every little decision.
Right.
It's more about being aware of the choices we make and what they might lead to.
So less dwelling on past mistakes and more using that knowledge to make better choices now.
Exactly. To make decisions we can be proud of. Knowing we learned from our experiences and made the most of every opportunity.
I like that. All right, bring on the grand finale. Number 5.
Okay, get ready for this one because it's a real head-scratcher. It comes from the philosopher Nietzsche, and it's called The Eternal Recurrence.
Ooh, sounds intense.
This one requires some imagination. So picture this. You live this exact same life with everything in it over and over again for eternity.
Whoa, that's a lot to process. It's kind of terrifying, honestly.
I know, right?
Oh.
But Nietzsche wasn't trying to scare us with endless repetition. He was challenging us to create a life so meaningful, so fulfilling, that we wouldn't mind experiencing it on repeat.
Whoa, okay, so not just avoiding mistakes, but building a life so awesome that even the tough parts would be worth reliving.
Exactly. It's about aligning your actions with your values and creating a life that truly reflects you. A life you wouldn't trade for anything, even if it meant reliving it all again.
That's heavy, man. It's like Carpe Diem on a cosmic scale.
Right. It's not just seizing the day, it's seizing the entire narrative of your life, shaping it into something truly extraordinary.
I love that. So we've got these 5 interpretations. Embracing spontaneity, living with intention, rediscovering wonder, and even crafting a life worth reliving.
And despite how different they sound, they all point to a common theme: being an active participant in your own life.
It's like Carpe Diem isn't just about what you do, but how you live.
Absolutely. It's about approaching life with a sense of purpose, intentionality, and a little bit of playfulness.
Okay, so we've explored all these big ideas, but how do we actually apply this to our lives? What does Carpe Diem look like in a way that feels both meaningful and doable?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack next. It's easy to get lost in those grand ideas of Carpe Diem.
Yeah, the big sweeping interpretations.
Right. But honestly, it doesn't need to be these huge life changes.
We don't all need to quit our jobs and travel the world, right?
Exactly. Sometimes those Carpe Diem moments are in the small things, like a quiet walk, a good conversation.
So it's more about how we approach life rather than what we actually do.
Yeah, it's that awareness of the present moment and then
Yeah.
making choices that, actually matter to you.
Okay, I get that. But it can still feel kind of overwhelming. Where do we even start?
Well, think about this. What makes you truly happy? What are you really passionate about?
Ooh, those things that light you up.
Yeah. And then figure out how to bring more of that into your life.
Okay, but it doesn't have to be complicated, right?
No, not at all. Maybe it's 30 minutes a day for reading, or a weekend cooking class, or finally taking that dance class you've always wanted to try.
You know, one thing I struggle with is overthinking. I plan and analyze so much that I end up not doing anything.
I think a lot of us do that. We get stuck in our heads. But remember, Carpe Diem isn't about perfection.
Oh, good.
It's about progress. Even small steps toward a life that feels right for you.
So no waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Just do something.
Exactly. And sometimes even just admitting that you want to change is a huge first step. It's giving yourself permission to explore, to see what you really enjoy.
I like that. It's about the journey, not just the destination.
Yes. And it's okay to make mistakes along the way. Actually, mistakes can be our best teachers.
Isn't there a saying about that? Like, the only way to avoid mistakes is to avoid doing anything at all.
Exactly. And that's the opposite of Carpe Diem.
Totally. This conversation has really changed how I think about Carpe Diem. It's not about bucket lists or living life in the fast lane.
It's about making choices that align with who you are and what you want.
And that can look different for everyone, right? What's exciting for one person might be totally exhausting for someone else.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all for this. It's about your joy, your meaning.
So how do we deal with those moments of doubt or fear, when you're trying something new?
That's a great question. It's normal to feel that way, you know?
Yeah.
When we're trying to grow, trying to push ourselves, there's always going to be some resistance.
So it's not about getting rid of the fear, but learning how to handle it.
Exactly. Think of those feelings as a sign that you're on the right track. If you're uncomfortable, you're probably pushing your boundaries.
So it's like, instead of holding us back, fear can actually push us forward.
Yes. You acknowledge it, but you choose to move forward anyway.
One thing I'm realizing is that this isn't about living a perfect life.
No Instagram filters needed.
Right. It's about creating a life that feels genuine and authentic to you.
That's a much better approach. Less pressure, more fulfillment.
So it's less about external validation and more about how we feel on the inside, feeling connected to what really matters.
Exactly. And that looks different for everyone, right? Maybe it's travel and adventure, or maybe it's building strong relationships or pursuing creative passions.
Maybe it's about making a difference in your community.
Whatever it is, find what makes you feel alive and then make space for it in your life, even in small ways.
As we're talking, I'm realizing Carpe Diem isn't just about the day, it's about your whole life.
That's such a great way to put it. It's about realizing you have the power to shape your story, to make choices that bring joy and purpose.
And that's something to celebrate.
It definitely is.
So as we're wrapping up this part of our exploration of Carpe Diem, what's one last thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the biggest thing to remember with Carpe Diem is it's not like a destination, it's more like a journey.
So we're not trying to reach some perfect Carpe Diem life.
Exactly. It's more about always growing, exploring, discovering.
That takes the pressure off, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
not about doing everything perfectly.
Right. It's about being willing to try new things, to learn and grow along the way.
And enjoy the ride.
Yes, exactly. Carpe Diem is about savoring every moment, not just rushing to get things done.
It's so easy to forget that. We get caught up in the everyday chaos.
I know. But when we take the time to appreciate what we have, it makes us happier and stronger.
It's like that gratitude thing, right?
Exactly. And it's a key part of Carpe Diem.
Thinking back to those 5 interpretations, they really do give you different ways to look at life.
And the cool thing is, you can use all of them.
Mix and match them to fit your own life and values.
Exactly.
So maybe one day you're all about that micro-hedonism, just having fun.
And the next day you're channeling Viktor Frankl, making choices based on what you've learned.
And maybe go for a walk and just really see the beauty around you like it's the first time.
It's about being open to possibilities, following your curiosity, embracing everything life throws at you,
I love that. It's like life is an adventure, and we get to choose how we experience it.
And create a life that's meaningful to you, a life that reflects who you are and what you care about.
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Carpe Diem, we want to leave you with one final thought. What does seizing the day look like for you?
What small steps can you take today to create a life that feels more aligned with your dreams?
Think about what brings you joy, what truly lights you up.
Because those are the things worth carping the heck out of.
And that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Until next time, stay curious, stay open-minded, and keep seizing those opportunities to create a life you love.
And we'll see you next time for another fascinating conversation.